Okay, today we're going to learn some new information about the GX550. This is going to be new stuff. It's going to be journalist information, insider information, so let's go over it. This is very interesting. This is the KDSS, or wheel articulation, on various generations of Lexus GX. So this is new information. This is very interesting. This over here is the previous Lexus GX460 with KDSS. It's showing the articulation at 21 inches, and the new e-KDSS on the Overtrol Plus GX550 has 24 inches. That's a big increase of over 3 inches of articulation. But even more interesting is here in the middle. This wasn't known, and that is the non-Overtrail GX550s without any e-KDSS will still have about an inch more articulation. Now this graph is a little bit misleading because it really shows like this is a huge difference, but it is an inch, but that is improved. So bottom line is, if you opt to get a GX550 without e-KDSS, aka any GX550 trim other than the Overtrail edition, it's still going to have more articulation than the previous generations of GX460 and 470 with KDSS. However, there's going to be a trade-off, and it's going to be floppier on road, and we're going to talk about that in a second here. To understand KDSS and GX and what it's all about and what it all means, we kind of got to understand the history of the Lexus GX to begin with. So the GX came out in 2002. That's a long time ago, as the Land Cruiser Prado or the 470 here in America. Now it's important to note down here, 2003 is the introduction of KDSS. That was a GX 470 exclusive. So KDSS, that's the sway bar disconnect front and rear, was introduced way back in 2003. It was on all trims of GX, and it's a very important staple of the Lexus GX experience. It's a very, very awesome system. Now the silly angles of the GX460 have been improved here. So essentially GX460 got out of hand with the Lexus design language, and essentially that big stupid front bumper that the GX460 has been eliminated, and you can see here the approach and departure and breakover angles have been improved significantly. This is pretty much obvious to see just by looking at it. It just goes to show you that Lexus understands and listens to complainers or complaints from off-roaders who try to off-road the Lexus GX460. The design changes in the GX550 came from Lexus and Toyota taking a look at what people do with GX460s and what their major complaints are. Here you can see a GX460 and the bumper's cut, and to fix the clearance issue on the front, and Lexus is pretty much copying that design, or taking cues from what off-roaders and overlanders did with the GX460 to improve the GX550 design. Now when you're off-roading, believe it or not, it's hard to see. And you want to know where your tires are. So Lexus here has purposely designed the interior to be kind of straightforward, and people often interpret this as boring or conservative or even cheap, dare I say. But it's not cheap, and there is actually a philosophy, as you see behind this straightforward, boring design, and that is to keep this kind of level line on the dash, on the window, so you always know where your vehicle is off-road. Now the GX460 has a curved dash and a curved center console, and it does throw you off to some degree where your tires are in reference to your car. So this shows that Lexus understands what the off-roader sees and what they go through and the challenges they face. So this may look boring to the non-off-roader, but to an off-roader, having the straight level line as a reference point is going to increase the off-road experience and make you a better off-roader overall. Now, Mark Levinson is pretty much Lexus's go-to premium speaker system. On the GX550, you're going to have to trim it out with a luxury, Overtrail Plus, or luxury. It's available as an option. Point is, you get 21 speakers. This is a carryover from the GX460 Mark Levinson system, and it's pretty much epic. So if you have the choice and you value your music or value sound quality, definitely go for the Mark Levinson sound system. I don't think I've ever heard a complaint about it, just praise. Now getting back to KDSS, as we learned a second ago, the articulation on this middle group here So this is a non-overtrail GX550. It's still going to get about an inch more articulation than the previous KDSS equipped vehicles. The problem, however, though, is people have already reported that non-overtrail trims of the GX550 are floppy on road. What I mean by that is Lexus had, in order to make this articulation happen with a car with a sway bar, in other words, a sway bar that cannot disconnect. So how did they get that extra articulation to beat the KDSS from the GX460? Well, they simply made the sway bar weaker. So the standard sway bar on your non-overtrail or non-e-KDSS GX550 is going to be thinner, weaker, softer, whatever you want to call it. The point is it's not going to control body roll as much, and we're already hearing complaints of early test drivers that say this feels floppier than the old GX460 with its KDSS. Because while you can get more articulation with this trim here, it's going to come at the expense of a firmer bar that you can lock up over here. So on road, you're going to feel floppier, even though off road, you will get more articulation if this graph is to be trusted. If, however, you opt to get the GX550 Overtrail, you're going to get this e-KDSS system. And as we can see here, there's a few logic modes. The front and rear bars can disconnect independently. The big takeaway when you're on road, and most people are going to be on road with GX550s, is this front sway bar and the rear sway bar can be super duper thick and super duper strong because it can be disconnected completely when off road. What that means to you is on road, this is going to handle like a go-kart. It's going to handle firm and flat like a car and not truck-like. The downside of Lexus giving the non-overtrail trims of GX550 more articulation than the GX460 with KDSS is, again, this is going to be floppy on road because they cannot put super duper thick sway bars on this. They have to strike the balance between on and off road, and that means a weak or thin sway bar that's floppy on road. Alright, Lexus knows they screwed up with the GX460 design. It's obvious. Lexus kind of got out of hand in the previous decade or so with this kind of predator face, whatever, stupid, silly grill that nobody likes, okay? Nobody liked it. It's not polarizing. Nobody ever liked it. It was too over the top. Lexus was attempting to make a, quote, face for their brand and ended up taking it too far. So far that they slapped this thing on an off-road vehicle. And so the original GX470 had the plastic bumper up here, and it kept getting lower and lower and lower until it's hanging 6, 8, who knows, 10 inches way lower than it should. So Lexus knows this, and they fixed it. So while you would still probably go ahead and cut this bumper anyway on the GX550 over here if you're going to take it on some, quote, serious off-roading, right out of the box, it's improved. You can see that. The approach angle is obvious. What's interesting here is Lexus has said that they put the radiator up higher. So this green box here represents your radiator core. And you can see that the radiator core is higher. And additionally, this kind of gray line is the bumper placement. And when I say bumper placement, I don't mean the plastic. I mean the actual aluminum, or sometimes they're composite plastic bumper. You know, it's kind of deformable extension of your frame. So you can see Lexus has raised this front bumper area up more, and it's going to protect your radiator more. And you do see you have two more radiators here. This thing is cooled like crazy. The engine, that is. We'll get to that in a second here too. And here we'll see a generation-to-generation comparison. Now, it's hard to tell from this picture, but this is on a full Land Cruiser platform. This is big TNGAF. No matter what way you slice it, there is no short wheelbase Land Cruiser anymore like the older GX460, which was on its own short wheelbase platform. This had a short 109-inch wheelbase. This now has a long or full-size 112-inch wheelbase. It's wider, it's taller, it's fatter, it's bigger all around. There is no more Land Cruiser Prado. There is no more short wheelbase Land Cruiser. When you get it, step into a GX550, you are getting the full-on, full-size Land Cruiser platform. Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. That's the reality. All right, Lexus realizes again that they screwed up with the design of the GX460, and they made it not look like what it is, which was a Land Cruiser product. So they say, this is quoting them, tough and modern proportions that embody the true Lexus off-roader. distinct spindle expression, square stance, embodying a quote off-road and quote tough image, in a modern way. So you already know this. It's trying to look like what it always was, which is an off-roader, and that's great for marketing purposes, so people can understand this. Where in the past, they never understood the GX460. Only Toyota nerds and Lexus nerds knew that it was a Land Cruiser Prado. One of the more exciting features is Toyota's AVS, or Adaptive Variable Suspension, on the GX550 Overtrail and Overtrail Plus. And it says it's standard on the Luxury Plus too, so that's cool to know. Anyway, the point is, these are adjustable shocks. These aren't air shocks. These aren't magnetic fluid shocks. There's literally a linear solenoid actuator. In other words, it controls physically the amount of oil that enters the shock. And this solenoid, which is basically an electrically operated valve, has, according to Lexus here, 650 levels. AKA it's continuously variable. So it has 650 positions it can be in. So it can change your damping and rebound forces in reference to the terrain that you're driving on. What does that mean to you? Well, you've got adjustable shocks and adjustable damping and rebound electronically. This is the real deal. These are made by KYB, the world's best Japanese shock supplier, pretty much on tie with Tokiko. These are real deal shocks. This is big. So on or off road, you can adjust it manually, or you can let it go into auto mode and it'll do it for you. But make no mistake, this is like having dials all on your shocks and physically changing the shock valving and oil flow inside each shock. All 4 shocks. Manually, except it's doing it all electronically. You don't have to twist anything. You don't have to get out and play with the shocks like a tuner would on aftermarket shocks. You just hit a button and it's physically changing the characteristics, the oil flow inside the shocks to give you whatever you want. 650 levels, as Lexus claims. Okay, towing is important to some people. Premium Plus and Premium 8,000 pounds. Luxury Plus 6.7 to 7.1. Overtrail and Overtrail Plus, 8,000 pounds. So that's straight from Lexus. Those are your tow ratings. If such things are important, or you're going to be towing with your GX550. And then we got a rear locking differential, aka a rear locker. In my opinion, Lexus put this on simply for marketing purposes to make it appeal to Americans that see lockers as a, quote, real off-road feature. Lexus simply says that this rear locker provides improved traction and enhances the vehicle's ability to navigate rough road conditions. So they're being very generic with what the rear locker does. The fact of the matter is, A-Track, MTS, Track, etc. is the star of the show on your Lexus GX550 and your Lexus GX460. Multi-terrain select literally is a variable limited slip differential on both the front and rear axle. So you can pick whatever you're driving on: dirt, sand, mud, snow, deep snow, rock, mud, or there's a new auto feature that will scan the terrain and change the multi-terrain select. Multi-terrain select, again, is a variable limited slip differential simulator. So a normal limited slip differential limits the slip of the wheels on one axle. This will vary how much it slips depending on the condition, and it will optimize that level, the allowance of slip, for those conditions. Bottom line to you, it's an advanced system. It works. We've tested it. It's awesome, and it's just amazing. Now, the GX550, of course, is a permanent or full-time four-wheel drive system. It has a true mechanical torsion limited slip center differential. Other vehicles, other 4x4s, Jeep Wrangler, whatever, they don't have true center lockers. So when you get in a Jeep Wrangler, you're in rear-wheel drive. When you get in a GX, all four wheels are going to be going all the time, whether you're on or off-road. It's not a slip and grip system like a Subaru or an Audi or many of the other so-called all-wheel drive systems. This is a true four wheels are going all the time. In addition, your front and rear axles also can simulate an LSD or limited slip differential with that MTS that I mentioned. Even if you don't have MTS selected, this is going to default to Toyota's track system, which is basically a generic or good all-around on-road limited slip differential. And if none of that makes any sense to you, this is one of the best, safest on-road systems that you can get, because you've got traction down all the time. And I hate to repeat myself, but it's just amazing. But anyway, what did they update? The chain width has been increased for greater torque, so it can handle the increased output of this engine on the transfer case. And the actuators are quicker. So when you go into low range, high range, it says the time has been increased from 11 seconds to 0.8 seconds. And the transfer case has been raised so you don't scrape it. The same, I believe, has been done to the transmission that we're going to see here before. Toyota center differential is a torsion. Remember, Toyota owns torsion. That's why you don't see it anywhere else anymore. Toyota owns torsion because it's the best type of differential that you can get, and it's exclusively a center differential in these Lexus and Toyota vehicles. Something that I think is criminally overlooked in Toyota trucks and SUVs are the phenomenal ASIN automatic transmissions. These are taken for granted these days. It used to be, it seemed like just yesterday, an automatic transmission was lucky to get 100,000 miles before it started slipping and sliding and needed new clutches and an overhaul, and that was just life with an automatic transmission. Well, Toyota and Lexus use the best automatic transmission supplier on the face of the earth, and that is ASIN. And ASIN transmissions are in this GX, the old GX, and all Toyota vehicles since forever. They're simply the only automatic transmission on the market that will go forever. No slipping, no sliding, no nonsense. These automatic transmissions will last you 500,000 miles or more. No rebuild, no nothing. This new one has 10 gears. And on the previous GX460, it had 6 gears, and it does seem like it's lacking for gears in the GX460, and we do kind of wish the GX460 had a few more gears. So this 10 speed may be agreeable to many people. Off-road, remember, you can use these gears manually to further control going down and up in various off-road conditions where you need to slow your vehicle down by way of so-called engine braking. All right, quick note here, the oil pan, it says down here, this is the oil pan, which is right here. This has been raised to increase, as Lexus is saying down here, to reduce the risk of oil pan damage, and we certainly damage this. Brand new, we took our GX460 off-road, and within a couple months, I had high centered on a rock. Check the channel if you want that drama. And busted the transmission plan. The ASIN transmission was fine, but we did have to take it to the dealer and get this thing replaced, meaning the oil pan itself. The transmission's fine, still works great today. And then we put a skid plate to cover it. But according to Lexus, they put this thing up higher, so maybe you'll have better luck and you can have better close calls until you get a skid plate completely covering that. Why don't just put a transmission skid plate from the jump off right here from the factory, I don't know. And this is the Toyota TNGA-F platform. This is the same platform, the same exact frame as the Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport, the Lexus LX600, the Toyota Tundra, and the Toyota Sequoia, though the Sequoia one is lengthened. But as far as anything but that Sequoia, they're all consolidated. Doesn't matter what you get. There's no more short wheelbase Land Cruiser as mentioned. There is no more short Prado frame. It's all on this frame. It's all the same frame. Toyota's consolidated. They made the frame lighter. Tailor welded blanks. They got rid of lap joints. And they're laser welded butt joints. And it basically makes it stronger and lighter overall. Something Toyota never mentions in their literature, and it's very unfortunate, and this has been since the beginning of the GX470, is A-Track. They leave it out here of all models. All models do have A-Track. So when you put this thing in 4-low, it's going to have the world's best locker simulator. And I will say it a million times, it's better than a locker because it can send 50% on one axle up to one wheel. So if the vehicle had a traditional locker, which it does, so in other words, Let's say this rear axle, I know this is not the overtrail here, but let's say it's the overtrail, you lock the rear axle, 25% of the torque is going to go to one wheel, 25% of torque is going to go to the other wheel. The other 50%, of course, is all on the front axle, but let's just focus on the rear. If you get one wheel in the air, 25% of power or torque is doing nothing over here in the air, while 25% is doing work on the ground. Now, if you use A-Track, which all vehicles, all GX550s are equipped with, it can send up to, by braking the wheel in the air, up to 50% to the wheel on the ground. Now that's just mathematically factual, mathematically superior to a locker. Lexus, unfortunately, has a tradition, and Toyota, of really not boasting or bragging about A-Track, when in reality it is literally a game-changing, phenomenal system off-road. Something else Lexus always, and Toyota, shies away from or doesn't mention is that these are Yamaha engines. They're Yamaha designed. It's an open secret. All Toyota engines are designed by Yamaha. All that Toyota reliability, Toyotas last forever, that's because they have Yamaha engines. Going back to the old 5 SFE engine from the old 80s and 90s Toyota Corollas and Camrys, the 5 SFE, the 3 SFE, all those old 4-bangers. The original beloved Lexus V8 that was in the original Lexus, the original Lexus LS in the late 80s. That's a Yamaha V8 engine. Yamaha has made Toyotas. So this twin-turbo V6 now is 7 years old. By the time you get your butt in your GX550, this engine is already 7 years old because it debuted 7 years ago, on the 2017 Lexus LS 500 sedan. There's been no problems with it. This thing is a Yamaha engine. It is not a petting zoo. It is, as you can see here, turbocharged, or turbo powers. There's 2 turbos. They're IHI Japanese turbos, the same exact turbo company that does the turbos in the Ferrari. They're the best turbo manufacturer you can get. It's all conservative, it's all detuned, and you can rest assured that Lexus put these things through testing and they are up to Toyota standards. Now, can I prove that? No, but Yamaha is never going to let you down. Can I prove that? Probably. I don't know anybody with a Yamaha or a Toyota engine that's ever been left down. Even if you put cooking oil in it, the thing will still work. Yamaha engines are simply the best that they make.